is what I love. This is what I'm good at, and I'm getting better every day. My dream is to wear the maple leaf, and one day my dream will come true.
Welcome to Driven, in pursuit of the podium. Well, for many young athletes, this is where their Olympic journey begins, their local ski hill. Maybe it's an arena, perhaps simply the backcountry. Over the next half hour, we will introduce you to some of our top Canadian athletes and Winter Games ambassadors. We'll find out what it takes to strive for excellence in their chosen sport. Is it ambition, dedication, or simply just opportunity? Well, one thing's for certain, out of the 5 Canadian female athletes that we've spoken with, they are all driven to make their Olympic dreams come true. Well, for speed queen Melissa Hollingsworth, her Olympic dreams have evolved since her first Olympic experience in 2006 in Turin. And now, with this year's Winter Games her last, her hopes have never been higher.
Just your regular high school student playing volleyball, basketball, and track and field, and my cousin Ryan Davenport, who's a 2-time world champion in sled builder, he suggested that I try skeleton. So I tried it and really liked it. I like to go fast on quads, snowmobiles, horses. Growing up on a ranch, you're always going pretty fast, and immediately I took to the sport. 3 months later, I won the Canadian Championship, so that's what sparked my Olympic dream. I would say with skeleton, I've never had a perfect run, and I'm going into my 19th competitive season on the World Cup stage, and just bettering by 100th of a second or every little inch or 1 pound in the weight room, just always measuring that against yourself, having that competition within yourself. That's what keeps driving me to be better, and I don't feel I've reached my full potential, and the goal is to be reaching that potential in Sochi. Skeleton's an individual sport, and I know that any of my results to this date, I couldn't have done it alone. So when I'm standing up there, yes, I am alone. It is just me and my sled, but I do feel the energy and the support of all my loved ones and my coaches and my teammates and our support staff, and I think that's what helps me stay focused and committed to this entire journey. Olympics occur every 4 years, but there's a World Cup season every year and a World Championships. I chose a different way to come into Sochi in 2014 than what I did in Vancouver for 2010. I needed a little more balance. I chose to rodeo and work on the mental game in just a different environment. And it's amazing how many different parallels there are between the two sports of barrel racing and skeleton. But this season, this summer, I've been very focused here every day with the team, building. The priority is training, therapy, rest. Then, if all that gets done, I'm allowed to go and ride my horse. This far into the game, 19 years in this journey, there's 146 days left of it. And yes, of course, when I didn't reach my potential in Vancouver of standing on that Olympic podium at a home Olympics, I was disappointed and committed immediately to Sochi. And so that's the goal, to get back on that Olympic podium. But, you know, with only a few short days, I've been able to step aside and enjoy every day, because I do realize that this is coming to an end and I'm making a transition into the next part of of my life. So I definitely am putting it all out there, and there's not going to be any regrets or what ifs when we come to a close here. My name is Melissa Hollingsworth. I love to go fast. I love competition.
Still lots more to come on Driven, including our interview with two-time Olympic medalist Becky Scott. Stay with us. Well, the Olympic journey began at a very young age for Xena Coker. Her passion for cross-country skiing naturally progressed into a talent and a love for the sport of biathlon. Now, with one Olympics already under her belt, she feels focused on this next challenge.
My name is Xena Coker. I'm an Olympic biathlete. I started cross-country skiing when I was pretty young, about age 7, in the Jackrabbit ski program. It really wasn't until the 1998 Alberta Winter Games that started my journey in biathlon. Moved out here as soon as I was finished grade 12 and started training full-time. And that winter made the national junior team to go to World Juniors, and just kept going. I love the challenge of cross-country skiing, and I love that bigger challenge of the shooting aspect with biathlon. And I distinctly remember watching Miriam Bedard in '92 and '94, and I think as soon as I started biathlon, something triggered, like, oh, maybe I could go to the Olympics too. After 2011, I decided I needed to change things. How I saw the sport, I needed to have fun again, and I needed to figure out what it was that would get me back into podium performance for 2014. When you're out on the ski course, you're pushing as hard as you can, but it's different than a full-on cross-country race, because in a way you kind of have to hold back until your last lap. You can't let it all go in your first few laps. As soon as you hit the range, you have to change the mindset of racing into calm and almost meditation. Finally now this year I feel a lot more confident. I feel happy with what I'm doing. I feel very passionate about it, and I have this fire inside me that I want to show what I can do. It's an incredible experience to have that your jersey on the back of your jacket or your race suit with the Canada on the back. Canada's an incredible and wonderful country, and I'm very proud to represent. Yeah, podium is definitely the ideal goal. It always has been, and it's really just trying to nail down that in February I'm in the best shape that I have ever been, and that I'm mentally ready to take that goal.
When it comes to talking about the Olympic Games and the drive and determination that it takes to get there, who better to talk to than someone who has a very successful Olympic story? We're at the home of Becky Scott. When we talk a little bit about what it takes to get to that Olympic podium, I guess, first of all, it starts with a dream, I'm sure, quite a few years before. Give us a little bit of a rundown on how that went for you.
So I started thinking about the Olympic Games as a young kid. You know, I came from a family that had the Olympics on 24/7 whenever they were around. And then when I was 13 years old, the '88 Games came to Calgary, and I was already into ski racing and starting to like it, and I knew I enjoyed the sport and enjoyed racing. And my mom and dad brought me down to Calgary and to Canmore here to watch the cross-country ski racing. And for me, that's when things really solidified, and the whole concept of I could chase this goal and dream of being an Olympian and competing for Canada on the world stage really cemented itself. And from that age on, I mean, it's really what I focused on and what I pursued. So it was a long time.
So when we talk about things like the Olympics and World Cups and competing at that certain level, obviously it's very physical and you have to have the physical capabilities for the sport. What about kind of more the mental side of it, the drive, the determination? At what point of competition do those things play even more of a factor to that outcome?
I think they're there, you know, right from the very beginning, and they have to be in the way that you prepare yourself as well. So you have to have drive and passion and determination every day that you wake up if you're training, you know, for your sport. So that for me started on May 1st and ended April 30th. It was really a year-round process, and just, you know, the qualities that I would bring to training every day, which was motivation, inspiration, you know, trying to get the best out of myself, were those qualities that then carried over into my racing as well, and took me, you know, from 45th place at the Nagano Olympics, which were my first, up to a gold medal in Salt Lake City 4 years later.
Now, when you think about that training and that mental preparation that you had to do, can that aspect of that drive or that passion, can that be taught, or is that just there or it's not there?
I don't know. I think that's a good question. I mean, for me, it was always there. It was just something I tapped into inherently, and I had. And, you know, at some point, you know, you have to sometimes rein it in a bit, because recovery and rest is as much a part of training as the actual physical workload sometimes. So it's finding a balance and intuitively knowing yourself as you get, you know, older and more experienced, how to get the best out of yourself and how to maximize your performance every time. But I'm not sure if it's something that can be taught. That's a good question.
For our Canadian athletes that are heading to Sochi and going to be competing there, what advice do you have for them if it's their first Olympic Games?
If it's their first Olympic Games, you know, obviously just take it in, really take it in, and enjoy the experience, but learn also, because, you know, often they'll say to athletes, you know, you're there at your first Olympic Games, it can be so overwhelming, it can be really a lot to experience, and, you know, and you're there to perform as well, to race and to compete and to put in your personal best, whether that's shooting for the medals or top 10 or top 15. So it's a fine balance, you know, between enjoying the experience and taking it all in, but also focusing on your performance, and to draw on your team as well, the people around you that you know who will support you and help you through the experience if you're having trouble. But enjoy it as much as possible, but learn from it as well. I mean, it might sound cliche or even cheesy, but I think if you just believe in the possible, you know, anything can happen.
Awesome. Becky, thanks for having us today.
My pleasure.
Stick with us. We're going to have more on Driven in Pursuit of the Podium coming up after this.